Okay, hey everybody. This is Brett, and we're going to start here in just a minute. I'm just queuing up some things here, and so welcome to this month's Crypto Mastery class. We're going to do these once a month, and on the first Tuesday of every month. And since people are usually late, we're going to give people a little bit more time to show up. Lots to cover in the markets. I've got my charts queued up here, and today we're going to talk about a little bit of news, but mostly I'm going to refocus these classes on the crypto mastery signals and indicators that have been guiding us so well and are the core of what we do in the M3 active trader. Many of you guys here are from that class, but today is going to be focused on where the markets, what do I think is happening, seeing some good signals here that we're holding and likely will hold 84K. So we'll dive into what that looks like. And what I'll do now is give you a quick wave here and share my screen so we can dive right in. If you're watching the replay, remember to speed things up. You can use the gear icon on the, let's see, I'm not sure what screen I'm sharing. I clicked too fast here. Hold on a second, let me focus. Okay, cool, that was the right one. Yeah, you can watch this at 1.5x speed, 2x speed as you like, and get through it faster. And we'll dive into some of that here momentarily. All right, so let's kind of quickly, I'll come back to this. This is the price of Bitcoin and some of our signals. Obviously, here our sell order block indicator showing us that this is where all the sellers were and why I was selling my Bitcoin at 106K. Seeing that downside pressure. So the big question is what happens next? So stay tuned. We'll get to that right after the news. All right. And if you are watching this on a replay on our YouTube channel, we're kind of growing our community there. Do us a favor, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe because we're putting out a lot more content on YouTube as well. All right. How low can Bitcoin price go? Big question here. And so every morning I'm doing a lot of research, and so there's a number of camps with this. And so at the very low level, I was watching an analyst today, and I'm trying to remember his name. I can't remember exactly, but he was suggesting that, their analysts say Bitcoin could go down to 62,000-ish. I don't think that's going to happen, but typically if you take the midline of the bullish and bearish estimations, that's usually pretty close. Of course, I always say, show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. And that's what we'll look at here a little bit today. So 62K, that would be the extreme on the low, and on the high side, some are saying we're gonna any day now kick off and Bitcoin's price will double in the 4-year cycle. There is this timeline where markets pull back as they've just done, and the weekly market cycle lows come in, and that's when the biggest gains happen in Bitcoin. So the question is this time different? And of course, the tariff war and the trade war is weighing heavily on the markets. President Trump coming out yesterday with an announcement, an investment announcement. Everyone thought it was going to be about crypto because he tweeted over the weekend about the strategic reserve was going to include Solana and Cardano, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. So everyone thought that the live newscast yesterday, the press release, was going to be about crypto, but it wasn't. It was about the Taiwan Semiconductor company. They had the CEO there confirming and saying that they're going to inject and invest $100 billion into building in Arizona. Now, a reminder, we did some of that in the last administration. The CHIPS Act was monumental, but they didn't do a whole lot of investments. So they're doubling down, bringing that in. Why? Because the trade war, the tariffs, they would avoid tariffs by moving industries here. So the TLDR and all that is the administration with the trade war. It's not just to beat up our counterparts in other countries. It's whether it's ingenious or a stupid idea remains to be seen. Because on the one hand, it incentivizes manufacturing to come back to the US to avoid the trade tariffs. So on the surface, possibly a smart move. On the other hand, people are saying that it might increase inflation, or that other analysts that was suggesting lead to deflation, which is equally as dangerous. If you're not familiar with those terms, you can Google those. But either could lead us into a recession. Now, I've been saying since last year that I thought we'd have an initial surge into new all-time high early in 2025, and then kind of April, May, June into the summer have a deep correction, and then recessionary fears, and then they would rally it strongly into say October. November. My models are showing October as the market cycle high. So what actually may have happened, and I will just jump over to Bitcoin briefly here, is we had that market surge going into December here a little bit early, and I did think we were going to go higher into March, January, February, and then start pulling back in March. So it may be that this was the surge that my spidey sense was telling me, and then we're getting this correction now. We lingered for months, and now we're correcting a bit. Question is, do we hold here and push higher or go deeper? And that is, it's very hard to know that. We'll look at that in a little bit, but at any rate, yeah, so those things are kind of lining up. If we have recessionary fears, trade war fears, economic fears, I believe, and it seems that I'm correct in believing this. Arthur Hayes just came out with his new article kind of suggesting that to force the Fed's hand to reduce interest rates and start printing money again might need a sort of a created or a controlled demolition of the economy, right? Because Jerome Powell had already come out and said, I'm not going to drop rates yet. So there's a little bit of political football going on here, and one theory is that the administration will sort of force the hand of the Fed by kind of creating this inflationary, deflationary trade war environment, because the Fed can't afford to sort of let the everything implode, obviously. So there's a lot to unpack there. We're not going to get into all the details, but that's the big picture, the big frame around all this today. All right, so deep breath, and then we will come back. And by the way, if you're here because you're terrified of this market sell-off, right now we're recovering, and what I want to see happen is we close back above 84K, kind of putting in a support here at the midpoint of that vector candle. And you guys that are in the M3 group here, I talk about these vector candles and how often they come back and retest. So we've retested this, and we'll get to that in a minute. I want to finish the news here. So, and by the way, if you have any questions, you can ask in the chat, and we'll dive into those in a bit. All right, Bitcoin's price down 8.5%, 24 hours, breaching the 200-day SMA. So, some people watch the 200-day SMA. I can certainly pull that up. I generally watch the 21 and the 50-day EMA. Some people use 200-day SMA. I have a study on that somewhere, but if we wanted to just recreate that, here it is, moving average, a simple moving average, and I'll add that to the chart. That will be in blue, and I'll just come down here and we'll change the settings, take a quick look at that. Always worth looking at things, see if they fit at what people are saying and what we believe. So just make that line a little thicker. And now we're good to go. So that's the blue line. So, but we've regained that, and that's where, the news is always delayed, or, the markets. Here's the thing. The market participants, the big players, pay a lot of money for news information. They get it off the wires. Sometimes they get it a little bit before the wires, and the markets are pricing things in beforehand. But look at this. We've recovered now that 200 SMA. So this news article came out 6 hours ago. They should know better by making a claim like this. I don't know who Nancy Lubali is, but end of the day, things change around midday. Things change when the U.S. market opens. And look at that, we're recovering this nicely. If we just jump over to a 1 hour, 4 hour chart, there's where we can see things kind of bouncing off those lows. So we'll come back to that, but essentially, sorry, not jumping around too much, and we're gaining this 84K level. So we are not losing the 200-day SMA yet. We do want to pay attention to that. So I will leave that on the chart. If we close below the 200-day SMA, that's a little bit different story. And if we go back in history and just see this, I'll turn off our arrows here, our early reversal indicator, which we'll also talk about. But that 200 SMA, good barometer of the health of markets. Bull runs above the 200 SMA, below the 200 SMA gets a little dicey. Back in 2020, we got below it, above it, and above it again. And once we lost the 200 SMA, though, it was all over. Then it became resistance. And so all the way here, support, got below it for a bit there. So it's not exact, none of these things are, but nothing comes close to, of course, our custom indicators that when they start to align. And I'm seeing some interesting things. I did post that 20-minute video, a market update this morning in the M3 Active Trader course. For those of you who are members there. And by the way, if you're watching this and you'd like to learn more about what we do over at Moonstream, just go to moonstream.io. We have a brand new video, by the way, that's interactive, that you can go through this, and it basically will give you an option to click through, and it'll guide you what kind of investor are you, and you can find out more about what service might best fit you. People always ask, what service do you guys have that's right for me? Go through this video menu and it'll direct you to the right course. We have signals and indicators. We have a newsletter. It just came out with our March newsletter. And of course, Active Trader, you can learn more about that at moonstream.io/M3. We do daily updates in our chat, and also a weekly class. We monthly class for Crypto Mastery, first Tuesday of every month, where we talk about our indicators here and next of a best breed or sort of next level indicators. And then for more live classes like this every Wednesday, those are weekly. Then you can learn more about that at moonstream.io/M3. And I'll just drop that in the chat. And I see many members here from the M3 group. If you're in M3, just drop a little note in there and how that is going for you, because that's our best level training for the swing traders. We also have a longer term retire rich program. Not here to talk about that. And in the chat, I'm going to drop here for M3 Active Trader. That's where we're doing swing trades and often giving trade recommendations in there. So that's that link. Okay. All right. Commercial over, guys. Let's get back to this. And here in the news. So, again, show me the charts. I'll tell you the news. This has already been priced in, and things are coming back up. Not saying the drop is over, though. We just filled the CME gap here over the last week. Mostly. I think it's possible we come down and fully close the CME gap, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and also the IBIT. So this is an interesting study that normally we cover in our M3 class. But look at that. We have a new gap here on the IBIT. So that's something else we've discovered there, and we'll talk about that a little bit today. Let's see. Article, Bitcoin no longer safe haven as 82K price dive levels gold on top, leaves gold on top. Don't pay attention to that. Bitcoin is the new digital gold. Should you have some of both? Maybe. I don't have any gold. It's too hard to move around for me. But at any rate, let's skim through this. The 82K, we're not really interested in. We're holding that 84K level, which incidentally I had posted on Facebook weeks ago that 84K would be the target. People laughed at me, and sure enough, came down. We're holding 84K now. So what we'd hope would happen here is we sort of go sideways and then push up. But we still have all these sellers up above, as you can see in our sell blocks and our order block detector. This is kind of the likely pattern, not based on time. This order block detector, essentially, though, we have visualized the concentration of sell orders and buy orders on the exchange. So this being Binance, there's a lot of buyers down here in the 71K region. Could we go down that far? We could. We could go down. Arthur Hayes had proposed that, but I don't know. I don't think so. I'm not leaning toward that unless there's a news catalyst. I think that right now what they're trying to do is shake out all the weak hands by letting price go below, but then they regain that 200 SMA, and then they're going to push up. But there's going to be some resistance here at 99.5, and of course up here at 107K up to 109K. So really Bitcoin doesn't take off and really clear the hurdles until we're back above 110,000 when we're at new all-time high in price discovery. Okay, so Anyway, we'll get to that again. So lots of liquidations here. This is how the market makers are making their money here. We can see liquidations really going haywire. They're trying to flush out all the degenerate day traders on margin. And so look at this, almost $1 billion on the liquidations. We hit 2 billion in liquidations not too long ago. Some say as high as 10 billion. That was recently. But yeah, and at that 90K, again, I almost want to pull it up where I posted on Facebook. See, a lot of people say they come on YouTube and these videos and say, well, told you this, I told you that. I post it publicly on my private Facebook. I said we'll probably hold at 90K, and if we lose 90K, we go to 84K, and that's exactly what happened. So hey, not always right, but mostly right on the right side of that trade. So let's see, additional data from CoinGlass, intensive bands of buyers' interest. Look, we don't need to get into that. Our signals are an easier version of this. This is more where the liquidations are and the liquidation heat map. All right, guys, let's see. SC 200-day SMA, last line of defense. So far, we're holding that. That's TLDR on that article. All right, here, let's talk about this here. The Bitcoin no longer safe haven as 82K price dive leaves gold on top. We've already recovered 82K. So, don't believe the FUD here on, Cointelegraph. They have good news, but it's a bit all over the place. And also remember, guys, we have the Crypto White House Summit coming up end of the week. So I would imagine that Friday we have, and maybe leading into Friday, remember, buy the rumor, sell the news. I think probably we are bottoming right now and start heading higher into that end of the week because they're going to release some new news on crypto and the strategic reserve. That's the big unknown, and the elephant in the china shop that could basically, or the bull in the china shop. I guess both would work. Which, if when enacted, could rapidly rise prices. We saw a massive influx of capital over the weekend when that tweet went out about the strategic reserve would include Solana, XRP, and Cardano. Cardano up 60% at one point. So crazy, right? At any rate, let's talk about this. Kobesi is a smart trader. So the Kobesi letter, a real driver here is global move, markets risk off trade. Yeah, there's a couple things happening. The global liquidity M2 has been on the rise, and that's bullish. Typically, that filters into risk on assets like Bitcoin, 12 weeks or so behind there. So we're at a point where we should start heading higher, but this trade war, the tensions are, we're kind of people are taking risk off the table. That's all that's happening here because they don't know how this plays out. And trade war is usually not so good for the overall economy, and sometimes it takes a while for things to kind of play out. And so, I think that's it. Markets don't like uncertainty. They crave certainty. And so people are kind of de-risking their investments here. As trade war tensions rise and economic policy uncertainty broadens, there's that word again, all risky assets are falling, as I was saying. And this was seen in stocks, crypto, oil prices. Yeah, so basically, and safe havens like gold are thriving. And so this is just human emotion. And but this can change quite rapidly, as we know. Let's see. We can go through this. Yeah, Bitcoin now seen as a risky asset in the current macroeconomic environment. So no big surprise. Again, the elephant in the room and the bull in the china shop is, that strategic reserve. I hope that by Friday or on that meeting, they give some indication when this might actually happen. And there's some speculation, does Congress need to approve? I don't know. I don't think so. But also, a lot of the states have been getting it through and approved. Many states have already gotten their strategic reserve approved and is just waiting for the right time to do this. So we kind of keep that in mind. Wouldn't it make sense for them to kind of encourage a big drop in the risk on assets like the cryptos that they mentioned to start buying them cheap? I'm not suggesting the government is in cahoots with manipulating the market prices, but in the overall picture, would not surprise me, and we may never know. So, taking a look at the sharp divergence between gold and Bitcoin in their year-to-date performance. Not really interested in gold, you guys. We know it's more stable, but while crypto's down related to gold, Bitcoin also can outperform gold and quite a bit on the way up. Let's see. I'm not sure who these characters are down here, so ignore that. Bitcoin price meets bull market support trend line. Yeah, we'll look at the bull market support trend line tomorrow. That's usually a good indicator of kind of where things are. And so the DXY, yeah, the DXY we have it's decoupled as an inversely correlated indicator with Bitcoin. However, when the DXY, it's hovering around 107 right now, just below that. And when the DXY comes down, generally Bitcoin will go up. And so we'll look at that again tomorrow. Here's that 200-day SMA that we talked about, and holding above that, so that's good. The Bitcoin CME gap ever at 85K, and I'll open that up because I want to look at that at the chart, but that has since filled. So let's see, level of bulls down. So there's a lot of news in here. I don't want to get too bogged down in the news. I want to get to the charts and give you guys some actionable advice. So let's just kind of see what happens here. CME gap, I'm sure they have a chart. And if not, I'll pull one up here. Let's see, where's the CME gap? The deviation here, 85K. I'll look at our own charts here because they're just making it too confusing. And right, this is just a bunch of noise. Crypto Summit week. Yeah, let's talk about this. Crypto Summit, that's this week. We'll getting a Trump pump treatment. Are we though? I mean, I think we'll see that going into the end of the week. And, he commented on it briefly in a tweet and suddenly appearing to confirm that it's going ahead. The question is when and how soon can they get it through? See, again, and I will talk about this more in M3 because I have several models showing that we go down into the summer and then really rally hard into potentially 150 to 200K into October-ish. But so if you'd like to find out, we just lowered the price for M3 Active Trader, by the way. It's very affordable, $249 a month. Go check that out. It's daily commentary and chat, and I do a weekly class like this, a little more detail. And so you can see this is the M3 Active Chat. A lot of smart traders in there. So go ahead and sign up for that. And this is all the information that you need to know from a sort of active trading standpoint. All right, so let's see. This is, all right, let's see. We were covering, this is the tweet that went out from the president saying basically that's Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then XRP, Solana, Cardano. Solana, I certainly agree with. And so there's two forces at play with Solana. There are billions of dollars in unlocks coming in March, April, May. Now, a lot of that's been priced in. That's why they've been selling it off since late December, really. The reason for that is when FTX collapsed, they were holding a lot of Solana, and a couple of bigger companies that we don't need to go into bought a lot of that Solana at around $64. So the fear is when they unlocks, when they're allowed to sell it, that will put a lot of pressure, downside pressure on Solana, but people have been front running that and selling that already. So it's going to be interesting to see if we get that Solana ETF. However, that could easily sort of buy up a lot of those unlocks, which would mean sort of sideways price until the sell pressure wanes, and then it could go higher. I don't know. The ETH ETF didn't do very well, but ETH also not performing very well. My alerts just went off about half an hour ago that ETH is down around 2,000, which I believe is a great buy price. I'm not a huge ETH bull, but $2,000 is a great psychological number, and it's bounced right out of that range. And again, our buy blocks showing there's a lot of buyers down in that 2,000 range. So if you can set your buy limit orders at 2,000 all the way down to like 1975, the midpoint, great place to pick up some ETH and see what happens here. So those are the big wild cards, the strategic reserves and the Solana ETF versus the unlocks. So let's see, first key to watch February, this is that CME gap that we saw filled, and we talked about that last week. Yeah, honestly, wait till the end of the week, a lot of macro data and events in the summit. So that's why people and big traders are selling ahead of this uncertainty. But as I was saying, FTX and Alameda wallets unstake 430 million for $431 million in Sol to be exact. And so making that basically that could hit the markets and further suppress Solana. I think it's been priced in for the most part. We have seen Sol getting beaten down quite a bit, and I've been buying. I've been buying right inside of our buy blocks. So I'll go into that a bit. Right down here, and we were telling M3 members, set your limit buy orders at $125 range. And look at this, we missed it by just a hair. This is a sign of strength that they got right down to 125.76. Some of our members got filled at 126 and 129 and bounced into profit. And I've started buying in the $140 range, and we'll be looking to buy more in this strong DCA buy zone. This is again where the buyers are hanging out and hiding. All right, so we'll come back to that. And where were we? One more news article, so let's get to that. So let's see, especially long term, such a move. Bitcoin, this is a bit about data from the weekend. So let's just, I'm looking for more. March 7th again is Friday. Let's see, and queried how many good news stories, how many more good news stories could emerge from the new administration. And so this is true. The question becomes, what's the next big catalyst for crypto that can drive money back in these markets and back up to take out the new highs? And it's saying what would be the biggest sentiment change in crypto history. So they're saying all the campaign promises are priced in. And so people are wondering. I thought they were going to reveal what the next catalyst could be, but we just don't know. And jobless claims, here's the thing, jobless claims comes out on Thursday, and they're not going to be good. Why? Because they've been laying off lots of jobs for potentially the greater good, because our deficit is unsustainable, around $2 trillion negative. So they're trying to cut out the, allegedly, and not to get into politics, but allegedly cut out a lot of the wasteful spending and really going to get on budget. So, and the day after, we'll proceed a speech from Jerome Powell. I guess he speaks Friday. Would that be correct? It's hard to keep track of all these, and I'll pull up the calendar here in a moment. So, as I said, inflation remains a talking point. And let's see, we have a pleasing result from the preferred inflation gauge. Guys, you can't go by that. We talk about trueflation, and I'll pull it up tomorrow and essentially kind of see. But here's the deal. They're not going to drop interest rates. 93% would keep things right where they are. And so, that would be a huge catalyst if they dropped interest rates, but not looking likely at this point. All right, there's a bunch of things here we don't really need to get into. So still fearful. Yeah, the fear and greed is still around 24. It did dip down to 10 2 days ago, and that's generally when fear and greed gets down to 10-ish or below, we get a nice market rally. It just wasn't sustainable. All right, the Bitcoin's dropped to 84K. They keep talking about 84K on this, and that's a 1-hour chart, I say. So that would be a large gap. Let's see, the CME futures record price gap on looks like a 1-hour chart. I'll pull it up on the daily. And then this was March 4th today. And we had previously the CME gap was around 78K. And I proposed we'd go and fill that. We got within a hair's shade of it, and then markets rallied back up. And so, CME gaps, if you're not familiar, they tend to fill, as do the IBIT gaps, which we discovered, and I'll get to that next. So let me just finish off the news here. I think that's about all I want to get into. Don't want to go down the rabbit hole with liquidations and everything else. There's a never-ending amount of news out there, so let's skip ahead, shall we? All right, talking about the IBIT here, this is something that we've been tracking in the M3 Active Trader all the way since its inception, rather, since BlackRock first launched, all the way back here, all the way back last year, February of 2024. And this is a 4-hour chart. So with this cup and handle breakout, I was suggesting this is a good sign for Bitcoin, which it was. and watching this all the way through. Ignore all the trend lines and spaghetti in there if you'd like, but noticing these gaps. The gap is from price action when since the IBIT is a Wall Street product, trades on the CME as well. After hours, like after hours or on a Friday over the weekend, it's not tradable. And so if price moves significantly after hours or over the weekend and then reopens higher, you have these gaps. And so what's interesting is I started noticing these would fill. We had a gap, price came down, and then created a new gap. This had a gap, price came down, filling these. And so I won't go into why they fill, and some of it's speculative, but the point is all of these were filling up until, and then we see this gap here took 6 months to fill. Price came down to fill the gap there, and in the process making some new ones. But basically, a gap fill means where there's a gap in the price, it acts as a magnet for price to come up and refill that gap. And it's just kind of a way of completing unrealized losses on the CME so they can get back to no losses. They can carry it forward like banks, unrealized losses, except for them, they can say, oh, well, we can close these trades out at even now. We didn't lose money on this drop because price came back up so they could close it. Anyway, point is, up until right when I said, guys, these gaps, 100% of these have filled. And then, of course, this one didn't. Although yeah, we really hope we don't get that far down low. So the ones in red haven't filled, and but I think imagine some of these might have. Let me just zoom all the way out and go to yeah. So actually, this on the IBIT is the equivalent of the 78K kind of area. So we did not fill this gap still. So the question is, do we go lower and start filling these IBIT gaps? And you can see I have this on there. If we were to close, it would be pretty quick, and then we'd rally out of it, I believe. So I'll set an alert though, crossing down on that 43.85 level, and I'll just say buy dip, because I do believe these will be bought up quickly. So right down here, if we do get that IBIT dumping, then this gap would fill. These smaller ones don't need to fill. They don't all have to fill. But the bigger ones generally do. Still sell pressure up above on the IBIT, which coincides with the price of Bitcoin. And so we'll have to keep an eye on that and see what happens, right? So this trade channel now, I guess we'll have to widen. I think it's really been broken, this trend channel, but I'll leave it on there. At any rate, let's move on. That's the deal with the gaps, and we'll keep an eye on that. Nothing discernible at this moment. All right. So coming back here, I mentioned we would look at. I think we've kind of covered the gaps. So I don't want to talk about CME gaps here. Let's look at the total market cap. The concern here is down below $3 trillion, and we pushed up here, got above it briefly over the weekend. Why is $3 trillion so important? Well, the top of the last market cycle was exactly $3 trillion. And it wasn't the price of Bitcoin, it was the price of total market cap when the programmatic selling kicked in, and that was the end of the bull market. Okay, so that's why these big round numbers are important. And so, we will probably struggle at $4 trillion as well. Right now, what we're looking at, though, that 200 simple moving average is sort of teetering on not holding. And so typically Bitcoin and total market cap are doing the same thing. This is showing some weakness here, so we want to keep that in mind and make sure we don't start heading lower. However, if we look at the total market cap minus Bitcoin, this is also looking fairly bearish. Although still holding this important trend line. If I go to a weekly, we can see it a little bit better. And really need this to hold. I don't like to redraw these things, but we have support here. Now, this is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin. I'll clean up some of these lines we don't need to watch, but we have a couple of things to keep on our radar here, right? So total market cap excluding Bitcoin. Now this pushed right up, also interesting, isn't it? Pushed right up to the high in 2021, and now that was at 1.67 trillion. But at any rate, that is acting as resistance. We pushed up to retest it. Now, here's the thing, and you guys in M3 know this. Typically, breakouts happen on the third or the fifth attempt. So the next attempt at this should be the breakout. And therefore, what do we want to do? We want to set an alert here, breaking up higher on above 1.7 trillion, because then we would have a breakout on the total two, say breakout, and I would even say buy. Okay, I'm willing to gamble on that outcome with a stop loss. We'll have some resistance in this area, but the breakout, typically what it'll do is sort of kind of reject here, come back, regroup, break out, retest, and then really take off. So for these reasons, my timeline is a little bit longer than this. Puts us into summer, although this is a bit wide. I think we could see breakouts here into June, July. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe summer is the breakout, and we're having this correction, coming in early, and then we really rally June, July, August, September, and peak in October-ish. It remains to be seen. Let's take a look at our indicators here. So this is the Crypto Mastery class. These are the Crypto Mastery indicators. So our secret weapon in these markets have been on these. The arrows are our early reversal indicator, hence the name. That was an accidental discovery. We'll talk about that. They've been highly effective on calling market tops and bottoms, including the actual market top in 2021. Look at that, exactly there. Our trend strength indicator turned red and below 80 right there. When these coincide and start to coincide are when you want to be paying attention. I will also pull up our trade success checklist, which you can get for free at moonstream.io free checklist. And so you can download that. I'll show you, or just get access to it right away. So you don't have to opt in or anything, because if you're here, you are already on our email list. And that link, again, I'll just put it in the chat. Make sure you're using this. And there's some tools in there that even if you don't have our indicators, you can still get your hands on. Okay. Let's see, it's not showing up. Here's the chat. It's I have to put the HTTPS in there for that to show up. Okay, moonstream.io/free checklist. Okay, there you go. And that's where you can download this. All right, so what you'd want to do here then, and I'll just pull this out of the screen so we can hop back and forth. And essentially, when you start to see things like the early reversal indicator, that green arrow, and by the way, there's a lot of math and quant work behind that. That is a huge discovery. Just because it's an arrow doesn't mean it's not powerful. Just trust me there. But that's the first step. Do you see an indicator there? By the way, you'll need to download this to get the interactive version. Okay, so here where you will download it and then open that up as a PDF. Okay, so now I'll close this and this. Now we see this interactive. See that? All right, so when you check that off, you'll get a score down below. The trend or the trading success score is now 1. Now, is 1 enough to go take the trade? No, it's not. Yeah, you want to see at least a 2 or a 3. And we'll look at some live examples here in a minute. And you can see there are other patterns here, like the EMAs and some of the other things we'll get to. But more importantly, if you're not trading these markets, here's your cheat code. I promise you, this will help tremendously using our indicators, and even if you're not, with some other patterns that you can use for increasing your odds on succeeding in trading right now. And this is, let's face it, this is a swing trader's market. The days of buy and hold and hodl. I mean, if you have a 5 and 10-year outlook and you don't mind holding your Bitcoin down 80%, 85%, then, fine, do that. But I don't think that's the right strategy. We want to be getting out at the tops and getting in at the bottoms on the swing trades. So coming back around on that, let's go back to this, talking about the total market cap. So, let's just do this. Was this a good time to have sold back in 2021? Absolutely. We had the bearish early reversal indicator. If you had checked that off, then you would have had a score of -1. Here, we can see the trend strength indicator below 80. Check that off. That would be -2. And then our signal line, let me just open these up. This went red. 2s and 3s and 4s definitely want to be taking the trade or getting out of the markets. So I did call the tops here right at in November of 2021 when these aligned, and in December, and then by January, I was pounding the table, get out of these markets. Our RSI Pro also shows bearish divergences and bullish divergences. Guys, I can't stress enough how powerful these are and simple to use. Our M3 members love these, and everyone that uses them. They're simple yet powerful. So if you don't have them and you're looking for an edge in these markets, go to moonstream.io, click here for the Crypto Mastery signals, and if you like, there is a free trial if you'd like to try these out, but I'd recommend just going and buy them for a year, and there's a lifetime option. So let me know though, and I can drop the link down there. Watch this video though, cryptomastery.org/pro. Okay, and go ahead and click on that. Watch that video, and you get 10 signals in here, each powerful in its own way, but you don't need to learn all of them. Even if 3 or 4 of them align, then you know that you're on the right track. And again, visually very attractive and easy to use. Okay, so you can learn more about that. Got lots of testimonials and get some bonuses like our multi-time frame radar and a bonus video training on how to set up your trading view software and the trade screener, which is cool. You can put in 8 of your favorite coins and it'll show you when they're both green, it's in buy mode. If none of them are green, then you don't want to be buying them. So a lot of powerful tools here for your success. And of course, there's a case study image here that we did on Caspa, kind of really shows the power of the signals and when to buy and sell. We've got some great sell signals with our Bollinger Band. And if you're using Bollinger Bands right now off of the exchange, they're not set correctly. The settings in this normal Bollinger Band don't work for crypto. We have customized ours with a settings change so that they work perfectly for crypto and its volatility. Essentially, when price goes up above the upper Bollinger Band Pro, you can see this red line appears. If it closes above the red line, it's a strong sell signal. Now, sometimes they'll push up higher, but these, when they're touching that upper Bollinger Band, that's when it needs to revert back to the mean, and often it'll go to the lower Bollinger Band. But this at least will come down to that midpoint, that 50-day exponential moving average. So here's a great example. You know, if you'd ridden this thing up, people always ask us, when should I take profits? When should I sell? When you see it going above the upper Bollinger Band or into one of those sell blocks, which of course we have, we can see on the, it's not showing on the total 2 market cap, but that I showed you before on the settings here. So here we can see, yeah, and these work in multiple time frames. I'm a bit all over the place, but bear with me. These are the sell blocks. Can you see? Isn't it helpful to know where the sellers are? And because invariably we see price push up into the sell blocks and reject. It rejected here and here and here. This was a great short opportunity because obviously, you know, on the 3rd attempt to break out, it failed. It's usually the 3rd or 5th attempt. So if it fails the 3rd time, we know we got trouble ahead. And that's when you want to be selling or selling short. And then boom, dropped all the way down here. Look at that, into the buy blocks. These are so powerful. If nothing else, just using the buy and sell blocks. Why? These visualize where the orders are on the exchange. So you want to be, you know, in the same area. You don't want to be buying where everyone else is selling. You want to be buying when everyone else is buying, right? So here we had this perfectly touch Bitcoin 4-hour back on Friday of February and then push strongly up higher. Then again into a sell block. See, sellers are in control, ate up all those buyers. Now we're just kind of waiting for some direction. I don't want to lose my point though. So let me go back to the checklist. But yeah, and you know, I can use this image as a great example of these other signals, and then we'll go back to the charts. And if you have a coin you want me to go over, let me know. These classes usually an hour, so I'm going to go pretty quick, and we can pull up one. But don't wait till the last minute. You guys always wait till the last minute, so get your requests in now. All right, a couple other things. So the buy blocks, talked about that. Powerful place to buy. I'm at the point with Solana that I'm only buying in the green buy blocks. Guys, I nearly doubled my Solana by using this strategy, and I'll show that to you. buying in the green blocks and then selling into some of the other signals. And then when it came back down, I'd buy more because I had made profit, and I turned 40 sol into 90, sorry, 50 sol into 90 in a couple of months doing that. And so that went very well. And one of our other indicators, the rocket indicator. So you see this little rocket here. This pattern is a pattern I've recognized over the years. I call it the rocket. You won't hear anyone else talk about it because I sort of coined the phrase of this, and then we've coded that into this indicator. Look how cool this is. So basically, it looks like a bottle rocket. This is the rocket fuel, and we call it rocket on the launch pad, right? So if I come back over here, it'll describe the rocket for you. So right here, yep. So is there a rocket on support? A rocket is a green candle with a real body. That's this green box here, resting at support, which would be the 21-day exponential moving average. In this case, could be the 50, could be horizontal trend line, and a wick below. So that shows temporarily the sellers were in control, but the buyers regained control and then closed near the top. So close is near the top of the day. These are the criteria. Okay. And we call it rocket on the launch pad because it looks like you've got a rocket, a bottle rocket, sitting on a launch pad, ready to light the fuse and shoot up higher into the sky. Everyone got that? So we can see that rocket. Powerful signal usually precedes a large move higher very quickly. But now you want to ride those. You can make fast profits on those, but you want to sell into resistance because invariably they come back down to earth. You know, when you light that bottle rocket, it goes up in the sky and then it runs out of fuel and then it comes back down, right? So you can set alerts on these rocket signals. Typically they happen more in a bull market. But when they bounce off of things like a 21 or 50-day exponential moving averages, they can shoot up really high. And clearly we had resistance back here, so this is where that move kind of ended. Cool, one of our favorite indicators here. There's also a multi-time frame radar that you get when you buy the Crypto Mastery signals. Again, go over to cryptomastery.org and /pro. It'll actually redirect you. These are the pro are now the default package. And I'm going through those here for you today using this as an example. So powerful though when the ERI, TSI, signal, and RSI all align. I'll go through all of those here in a live example here in a moment. But when those all align and you get a trend or a trade success score of 4 or 5 or 6, it's a no-brainer. It's like 95%, 90 to 95%. You got to take those trades. Okay, and adding to them as more of them go green. Name of the game. As you would dollar cost average on the way down to get that lower average cost on your position. Professionals build positions over time and they take profits into strength. Okay, so with that, let's jump back over here to what we were looking at on the what were we looking at? The multi-time frame radar. So this is something we created back after the market crash in 2021 because we had in December of 2021, we recommended Rune Thorchain, and it went up 169% in a number of days, number of weeks, and then the whole market crashed. So we created this. See some questions, I'll get to those. Basically the radar tells you on these multiple time frames, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, is it bullish or bearish? These arrows are based on typically the same stochastics RSI settings that the institutions use. How do we know that? The creator of these indicators is my partner, 25-year trader and a programmer and a quant engineer that worked for a hedge fund. So he knows all of this. Don't let the simplicity fool you on these indicators. They're the best I've ever used, and I'm hearing that from everyone who uses them. If you want an edge in this market, you need to have these. You can change the settings also if you're more of a day trader and you wanted to turn on your radar and change those settings. I have these set to 4-hour, daily, weekly, monthly. Okay, so you can change those here and on your inputs. So if you want to do shorter time frames for day trading, you know, I might set it to actually like 15-minute, hourly, 4-hour, daily. But I wouldn't do it. So let's just do that for day trading. On the short time frame, I would do sort of 30 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. Actually, I like 15 minutes when I'm day trading. I haven't done a lot of that lately. And then, yeah, so then I would go hourly here, 4 hours, and then a daily. And so you can play around with these. Point is, it's flexible for you, and boom. And this point, we're all green. From a day trading standpoint, we're green. Okay. And if you guys are, I don't recommend scalping, but day trading like on a 1 hour, 4 hour, maybe a 15 minute, 30 minute hourly, but here, look at it, came right down to the buy block, right? Exactly. Pushed up, got to the sell block, came down. What are we doing here? We're putting in a higher low. So we're bullish on the all the way up to the daily. So cool stuff. I wanted to point that out that basically these are fractal, they work in all time frames. How cool is that? Because you're not going to find these anywhere else. Go over to Crypto Mastery, and if anyone wants the free trial, you can try it out for a little bit and pay monthly. So, but you have to ask me for that if you want it and interested. But I would say definitely at least do that in this next phase of the bull market. Coming back to the example here, so the four horsemen, as I call them, which are incredibly powerful, are the ERI, the early reversal indicator, hence the name. This is your earliest indication that markets are turning. And I discovered this basically watching an oscillator and a particular price movement that within 3 time periods, when it went from below 3 to over 20, you don't need to know all this, but I handed it to Joe, who added in a Keltner channel and some other quant things. That's why we don't show you all that. The actual oscillator makes your eyeballs hurt. So I said, Joe, let's put a green arrow instead. So done. That called the market top. It called the market bottom, actually on a monthly time frame, exactly in January of 2023. Very powerful. So ERI, when we see this green arrow, let's go back to that checklist. That's when you would come over here and say, let's say we're evaluating this trade. Let's do this together. So we say, all right, is there a green arrow on the ERI? Yes, there is. Okay. And so here we go. Check that off. What do we have? We have a trade success score of 1. Is that enough? It's not enough. We want to see confluence in the trade. All right, well, do we have the TSI? It says here, use with the TSI for confirmation, the trend strength indicator. So here, with that arrow on that, did we have the TSI also go green? We did. We had it come below this green area going green, ideally back above 20. Sometimes I'll just wait for it to go green. And that's kind of a nuance. Is it green and turning up above the 20 line out of the green zone? This indicates a new bullish cycle where buyers are in control. Here's a visual on that. Did we get that? Yes, we did, right in here. So great, check. What is our trade success score now? You guessed it, it's 2. Trade success score is 2. Are we buying it? Sometimes I'll buy on 2. Usually I want to wait for 3. So let's see what else we have. Is the signal line green and printing a circle indicating bullish sentiment change? Now these are based on different algorithms. They're not variations of the same. That's why we're looking for confluence. And this one has to involve the MACD. One of our clients in M3 just the other day said he loves the signals. It's so powerful, and that's his favorite. So let's see effectors here today. He's not, but at any rate, let's keep going. So the signal line, when it turns from red to green, basically we're looking for all of these to go from red to green. And here, what happened? We went from red just turning green with that crossover. So in this case, check that off. You guessed it as well. Trade success score is now 3 out of whatever. It's the trades of 3. I think the max is 21. We never get 21, but 3 is good. So now I'll be adding and buying this into this trade. Okay, start dollar cost averaging in at this level. So a steeper upward slope indicates a stronger momentum. So we'll talk about that as well. So a kind of anything greater than 45 degrees, some of the nuances really helps that. Sort of confirmation. All right, lastly on the 4 horsemen anyway is the RSI Pro. You've heard of RSI, so we have that. The Pro is that we also show bullish divergence and bearish divergence. So is the RSI Pro showing a green circle, which indicates bullish divergence, and is the green line heading higher? I just mostly look for bullish divergence, that green circle. And so if we hop over to that example here, did we get that? Sure did, back over there. So we now would check this off. So the reason I jumped over this one, the four horsemen, as it were, just makes it easier to remember, used to be ERI, TSI signal, and this thing called, I'm sorry, the trend indicator. We've sort of, this is still valuable, but we've changed the top four to include RSI, TSI, ERI, and signal. Okay, so there, that bullish divergence, basically either hidden divergence or regular divergence. If you're not familiar with those terms, go Google it. But if the RSI is going up and price is not, generally that's hidden bullish divergence. And if the price is going up and the RSI is not, that's that divergence. Either way, green circle takes the guesswork out of it. So by now you're adding to that trade, right? This is now we have kind of 4 out of 21. See that? Your trading success score is 4. You want to be in that trade now. Now we're looking for more bullish signals. One is called the trend. Kind of looks like Mario Brothers is going to come out, you know, and grab all these coins. But the key here is there a bell? The key signifies a trend change may be coming. And if you can see the red line here, when the red line starts turning green, also a clue. When the key shows up, it says, hey, a trend change may be happening. The bell is your buy confirmation. Okay. What we've done now is when the bell signal triggers, it puts a vertical line across all of these indicators. So you don't even have to have this one showing. Okay, or loaded, because TradingView will limit how many indicators you can show. Another benefit of our indicators, because each one of ours is like 3 of the other ones, and so it lets you get away with using a lesser plan if you want to do that. All right, so in this case, did we get a bell signal? Is the trend indicator showing a bell buy signal, usually followed by up to 7 days of upside and take profit? The take profit signal is the bag of money here. The first dollar sign is take some profits off the table. The bag of money is where you would take the majority of the profits off. So now, and let's just confirm that, did we have a bell? We have a bell on this trade also. So on this example, that's why we use that as an example, obviously. It shows all these signals lining up. Now we have a trend success score of 5 out of 21. So now you get the picture. And now we can start looking for other things like bullish engulfing candles. Is there one of those? Did we get a bullish engulfing candle? We did right there. Look at that. Bullish engulfing right on that. Later we get a rocket. So now we're adding to that. So there you have it. And now you should be adding to the trade. Is the price above the 21 and 50-day EMA? All right, is it? Right in here, it got back above the 21-day exponential moving average. So there, and we had a rocket. So this is obviously the ideal trade. And so let me just scroll down here to the rocket. Did we get the rocket? You have the rocket. This is where you're adding to the trade when these other things start happening. Okay, trading score of 8, you know, rarely gets that good. Is candle body above a trend line support? And if we were to draw a trend line through here, maybe it didn't have it on the example. So yeah, you're quite, I'll get to the questions here shortly. I know we're coming up on the hour, so just bear with me. So I'm just proving to you that you guys really can't be without these. Not to sound self-serving, we don't make a lot of money on these. We really don't. It's kind of keeps the lights on, but it is more for you guys. And my hope is that you will upgrade to the M3 active trader from the indicators or vice versa, because then you're unstoppable. Then you've got a real edge. Trust me. You should never say trust. You should never listen to someone that says trust me on the internet, but trust me, these have made a huge difference. You know, when I first got into crypto, you know, I did buy my first Bitcoin at $20. On the condition I used it to pay for happy hour with the founder of BitPay, who sold it to me. So that was my now $60,000 happy hour. It's been as much as my $100,000 happy hour, $110,000. So essentially, I'd get in early, but I didn't stay in. I got in, started investing and trading Bitcoin in 2018 and Ethereum, and was not doing very well, to be honest. So much so that I put it all away. And I joke that my best trade ever was the Ethereum that I forgot about, I bought in 2018. because I was using regular RSIs and everyday indicators that everyone uses. And I was getting whipsawed in and out, taking losses. So the solution to that, and where I have considerably improved my trading and now to the point where I'm teaching hundreds of other investors, is with these. These are the backbone of what we do. So if you don't have them, now is the time to go and get them. Whether it's monthly, that's fine, annually, or lifetime. All right. So I'm refocusing these crypto mastery classes on the indicators, both as training and for you guys to understand that you need to have these. These are, it doesn't mean you replace your other indicators, but you can use these in conjunction. I believe I'm doing you a disservice by not pushing hard for you to get these. You know, you can try your market ciphers all you want. I never had success with it. I think it's too hard to read. There's other ones out there that are also difficult, and these are the I saw these first in 2018, 2019 before I knew who the founder was. And I said at that time, wow, these look great. If I ever get a chance to work with this guy, serendipity stepped in Jan of 2021, and one of my old employees said, what do you got going on? And my last business, I built $1 million seminar business in online marketing, grounded with COVID. And I said, I got nothing right now. He said, and he used to work for me when I owned the Options University. He said, I need you in crypto. And I need you to meet Joe, the founder who made these indicators. And I need you to meet Mike, founder of Moonstream. So anyway, all of that aside, I finally found what works for me. I recommend that you guys also use these. One of the new additions to the ERI, the early reversal indicator, by the way, those arrows, one of the new additions are these buy blocks. These signify money flow. And let's see if we can find an example of that, because, you know, do you want to see a big block of money flow on a trade signifying that buyers came in and actually bought? Absolutely, because you know, having buy orders, the difference is these lighter green, this is where there are buyers saying limit buy orders, saying I will buy Solana at $45.90. Okay, great, big deal. These are actual buyers who bought up and actually purchased with money here. And so when we saw this breakout, this was massive back in November 2023. 21-day crossing the 50. These are money flow blocks, big buyers stepping in. Now, I have yet to see, and I have to make sure, I have yet to see price come down through and break a buy block. Doesn't mean it won't happen in the bear market, but these are very valuable on this weekly time frame. It also works on daily time frames, and so let's stick with the weekly. So you can see in here, huge movement, money flow, money flow, money flow. All right, so you know, that's what we want to see. And when we start seeing more of these, especially on the weekly time frame, it's another confirmation to go and buy. So we're giving you all the tools to take all the uncertainty out of trading. Can't say all. There's always uncertainty. You know, Bybit got hacked, $1 billion. FTX. How do you can't predict these things easily. You know, I hesitate because when days before FTX imploded, I was looking at the chart saying, guys, this chart doesn't look very good. So anyway, some of this, somebody always knows something. And the charts usually tell you a clue. All right, so now another buy signal, believe it or not, on the Bollinger Band. When it touches the lower Bollinger Band, and I said this the other day when we were coming down fast, I said, guys, this is the buy signal, and then we shot up. Bollinger Bands like rubber bands from the median. When it gets too high, again, these are modified Bollinger Bands. You know, we're using a third standard deviation Bollinger Band, and that made all the difference. But when it gets above the top, that's sell pressure. The rubber band's got to revert to the mean. Same thing on the bottom. If you pull that rubber band as far as it goes, and if the price gets below that, typically it snaps back. And pay attention here, because my friend Steve Nissan, the grandfather of candlesticks, taught me this. Typically, when price hits one edge of the Bollinger Bands, again, for crypto, we can't use a standard one. These are coded for that. Typically, it'll go from one extreme to the other. Look at this. Got down below the Bollinger Band on these three candles, and then we had this wick. That was our buy signal, and then it pushed up to the upper Bollinger Band. Okay, and specifically, a close at or below the lower Bollinger Band is shown by a light green vertical line, showing an end to selling pressure and upward movement is due. So if we see that, I don't know if we didn't get that on this example, but where were we just the other day? I'll show you a real life example. Turn this back on. I think it was on Bitcoin. Might have been on a shorter time frame, but let me just find out. Well, it wasn't, but I am seeing something else I want to pay attention to with a clue for future price movement on Bitcoin, by the way. If anyone sees it, let me know. Put it in the chat, and we'll come back to this. But look down here. We touched the lower Bollinger Band there, and then kind of worked its way higher. Let me get a really good example, though, on, it was the 1 hour, 4 hour, I'm sure of it. So a little nerve-wracking to say I'm sure of anything on live TV here. Yeah, so, oops. Well, there's a couple examples here. This is why we always look for confluence. Down here, here's that vertical green line. Touched the lower Bollinger Band for a couple periods, bounced off of it. Nice trade if you took that. Down here, got below the lower Bollinger Band. These vertical green lines are buy signals. Here's a great example. On the top side, got above the upper Bollinger Band, vertical light pastel red line. Uh-oh, sell pressure. If you sold here, boom, dropped sideways, sideways, kind of under the ice. We talk about our 21 and 50 day EMAs. I have an analogy for that. We teach M3 members. So we're drowning below the ice, and then boom, touch that lower Bollinger Band, get below it. Would that have been a good buy signal? Boom, went all the way up, touched the upper Bollinger Band. So that's the deal with that. And that's, look here, I'm in training mode too, so let me just kind of focus on that now. Do you guys who are using these have any questions? I know there's some M3 members here, Dr. T, and I saw a few other people, Ray, and if you, not sure who Jay, oh, okay, let's see, Jay is Joel. Okay, well, look, we've got a good group here today. Scott, hey, Scott. So some M3 members, do you guys have any questions on how to use any of these? Because, I do a once a month. This is both a training and an overview of the signals. And so, by the way, we're holding 84K, you guys. I alerted this morning in the M3 Active Trader, I put out a 20-minute video, as you guys can see, saying here are the options. And what I want to see is I want to see us go right here. I want to see, this was a big ugly red candle. I said I want to recover 84K, probably will do that, and have a higher low. Okay, so here I say market update, Tuesday, March 4th. Today, that was this morning, Bitcoin, daily, weekly, 1 hour, 4 hour. And so this is what I wanted to see, right? High or low indicates buyer's strength. Okay. Anyway, Pump Phone. Interesting name. Is that related to Pump Fund there? We can look at render, sure. And Jim, do you use daily chart buy sell blocks or other time frames? Okay, so you're asking about the signals. Yes, I do both. So, but I'll answer your question. So specifically on the buy sell blocks, again, we in our indicator package is called the order block detector. So if I turn those off, you really don't know what's going on the, let's go back to a daily. I'm going to turn off some of the other signals so it's not as obnoxious for us. And that's the thing too, start with the four horsemen. When I'm evaluating charts, I'm looking for ERI and everything else. That was used to be the way I do it. Now I mostly focus initially on the order blocks here. Look at that rebound. Could we possibly, dare I say it, turn green today and have a green candle and put in a nice little doji? If so, and hold the 200 SMA, I won't get too excited because we've got a clear overhead resistance at the 21 day, the 50 day. This is a trend line resistance. Then we've got sellers. We've got our work cut out for us. You might need to have old Uncle Sailor come in and buy a couple more billion, and then he and Trump kind of walk into anyway. But the point is, this is going to take a while to break through that. Fingers crossed. Yeah, Dr. T. Dr. T, 10 days away from the crypto cruise, as I'm calling it. And that looking forward to that. Sailor only buys tops. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so the reason he sort of said that, which made sense, is in Manhattan, when real estate prices are at their highest, is when it's easiest to borrow money, right? But in his case, they're floating debt on their own company, and so I don't know why that is. I don't know if he's okay being the savior of trying to come in and like not Hello Kitty, but Roaring Kitty on GameStop, who would just say, "I'm holding," just to kind of keep rally the troops. But it's true. He Dr. T. Yeah. So to sort of say, "Hey, I'm buying," to help rally the troops. Maybe that's it, or maybe it's somewhat for him to be like, "Hey, let's borrow more money," or they. I don't know. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole here because MicroStrategy is down a lot, or sorry, strategy. Let's just make it simpler, and because we used to call him Michael Strategy, Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy, Michael Strategy. Why don't we just call it all Saylor? And so I guess some of the only one thinks that's funny, but strategy, whatever, maybe, but they're down. So I don't know. Buying the tops for him, who knows? Regardless, let's be glad that he does. So where were we? I totally lost my train of thought. So bouncing here, your question. Yeah, so back up here, outlook on render, we'll get to that. Jim, buy sell blocks on other time frames. Absolutely. Let's see I'm gonna go to Solana here because Solana is one of my largest holdings. I sold Bitcoin at 106 right in here, my remaining Bitcoin. In all fairness, not that I was a genius, but after getting stopped out at 89.5 right here, and then it rallied, and getting stopped out, faked out twice. And so when it pushed up to 106 into a sell block, I'm like, I'm not riding this down again, and so I sold, and that was a good trade. My stop losses were intelligently placed, but not enough. So markets will do that to you every now and then. But here, clearly that was the case. Coming back into Sol the other day, I'm usually looking at daily, weekly first, then I'll pull up hourly and 4 hour. And so let's see what we can find here. Do I have these turned off? Order block detector. Maybe my memory sometimes escapes me, but oh, no, here we go. Yeah, no, so on the 4 hour, the buyers are between 104 and 112. Mostly I'm using daily, weekly though. Let me stick to the example I know. I want to give you a specific concrete example. So on Solana, and those of you in M3, I had publicly said I have buy limit orders here at 110, 115, 120, and 125. And I was being a little bit lazy. This is proof why you don't, I generally on a steep sell-off or a rapid run, you want to get a little ahead of everyone else, right? So, and Scott, congrats, because one of our students here, he bought some Solana. I think it was at 126 or 127. Scott, uh, you know, do what I say, not as I do. I missed it, but in all fairness, back here though, I was crushing it. I was had buy limit orders at 125, and every time it came down, I bought more, sold in a resistance, bought more, sold in a resistance, bought more. I was a field day. I kept, compounding, buying more Solana in my IRA every time it got in the green zone. And 125 was my magic number, so I got a little lazy. So anyway, but that's fine, and missed it here. I still have buy limit orders now on at 125 and deeper in case we come down. Maybe it's 127, but two of our students, the 129 and 120. The nice thing about these is you can uh, be in profit almost immediately. The best time to use these buy blocks, by the way, this is stay with me here because let's turn these off. Some of my best trades last year were back here on this Sunday, August 4th. We were bleeding out. The Japan yen carry trade was just crushing the market. Sunday, we had this candle, and see, this was Sunday, and I had a feeling that Monday would open and it would have an accelerated effect once the US markets open. So without the order blocks turned on, I put buy limit orders on at 125 and 115 and down in this range. And overnight, prices wicked down. I got filled in buy orders, and then the next day, it came up here. I was in profits, and then the next day on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, I was up and nice profits from that trade. And how do I know? How did I know to put my buy orders all the way down here? Yeah, you guessed it, because that's where the other buyers were. You follow me? Guys, frankly, I can't understand why all of you don't have these indicators. And then as far as when to sell them, I would ride them up till my trend strength indicator turned red, or we hit some good old-fashioned trend line resistance. Many ways to skin a cat. I don't know where that came from, but anyway. So let's go to a weekly to answer your question, be thorough, because how you do anything is how you do everything, right? All right, so order block detector, Bollinger Bands. Okay, so the order it's on the weekly, we don't have anything on that. The daily was the one, but look at that on the weekly time frame. We can see all that sell pressure. Guys, we had a double top on Solana, but and of course this pumped up to 300. I sold my Solana, by the way, at 245 up in here. Why? Trendline resistance, prior high 250, and I put it at 245 to get ahead of it in this range. This is on the weekly. Felt pretty good about it until it pumped to 300, but that was from the Trump coin that they pumped it, and sure enough, I'm glad I didn't chase it because that thing sold off. And if you want to go down to the 1 hour, 4 hour, let's see, because I think I was obvious in here too. Not there. Sometimes these will disappear though, so it might have been up in that range. I can't really say. When the cell blocks get taken out, they will disappear. So I can't armchair quarterback this or use my hindsight indicator. And so, but you can see on the 1 hour here, when we had that pump pushed up into this cell block, boom. That's why sometimes these lower time frames you definitely want to use, because you can get clues once you already have some idea what's likely coming. Here, the 1 hour, 4 hour coincided, so these can give clues. But also look at this. We had, I'm not sure if it happened on the 1 hour. Yeah, it did. Look at the Bollinger Bands again, telling you. So here, if you were in Bitcoin and you saw this pump, and since your name is Pump Phone, is that related to pumps? Or I know we had a client last name Pumphrey, so maybe that's you. And so either way, not fun, man, not making fun of your name. One of my best friends in high school was saying Rob Pumphrey was his name. So here, when it spiked, got above the Bollinger Band and into a sell block, that was the first clue to start selling this. And here, similarly, on the 4 hour, also got it. These vertical red lines are an indication. That's when it closes. The closing price for the time period is above the line. Touching is almost as good, but it's more accurate when it closes and gives you that. Okay, so anyway, enough about that. I will get to render for you, but this is how you use multiple time frames and for these things. And since many of you are new, you might not have seen this before. I'm going to show you one thing. This will be the proverbial nail in the coffin why you're going to go buy these indicators right now, because on the monthly time frame, look at this, you guys. The ERI has only signaled on Bitcoin on a monthly time frame 4 times in history. Only 4 times. And each time was at a market bottom. back in now in all fairness, we didn't have these in 2012, but in hindsight, of course, but this is back testing. The first one was here in 2012, not quite the exact bottom, but pretty darn close. But let's say we disregard that one. Right here in the depths of the bear market in 2015, early reversal indicator on the monthly time frame. Boom, what happened from there? Bitcoin up 5,500%. All right, again, here on not quite the bottom, but close enough, right here at March 19th. This was sort of that COVID. I can't remember if this was the COVID correction or this one, but this was the bottom of the market. And what happened after that? Well, 1,500%. So when we were watching this, and this was when I was calling the bottom, I was saying buy. I was saying the bottom was in here at 16.5 because I had forecasted it back in May, and which was a bit of a guess, a bit of a wild ass guess. But point being, this is where we were. We launched M3 Active Trader here. People thought I was crazy to say buy. Then we had the monthly early reversal indicator and a bullish engulfing candle. Now we know, and I won't have second guess it ever again. Monthly time frame, this green arrow alone can make you rich if you know when to sell. The question is, when do we sell in the top of the bull market? Well, we have on the weekly time frame. So the ERI is best on the monthly as the bottom, a bottom caller, and best on the weekly as a top caller, if we're keeping score. And we had that happen back in right here. See that circle? This was, stay with me, because that the bearish ERI and then the red TSI below 80, right, is summer 2, signal line RSI Pro. When we see these all align, we're out. And it happened. Just a reminder, you guys, it happened recently, and I said, guys, we shouldn't be going down here, but we got this ERI, the TSI was red, and then the RSI was red. 3 was enough, and we were, or was it this one? I'm sorry. Yeah, it wasn't this one, although that was another sloppy one. But you guys remember on this one, I said, guys, we should be going higher here, but this is bearish. And because signals were aligning, we were below the TSI, our signal red, RSI red, and those of you that listened avoided good 20%, 25%, 28% retracement. Anyway, I don't mean to sound preachy. I just want you guys to know that these will help you. And there's a bit of a learning curve, learning the nuances. Where are we now? We're oversold. We're getting oversold on Bitcoin. We're not quite there yet on the daily. I do think we could still come down to 75K on the 50-week EMA, exponential moving average. Don't know. Everything's on the table, but we don't want to lose the 200-day SMA, though. Because if we come down to the 70s, then we've lost that, and that's no bueno. So, all right, let's get to render, and I want to wrap this up here, keep these to 90 minutes. Again, if you like these classes and you want to see my more advanced studies showing market tops, and you don't want to miss my USDT tether dominance study, which predicted this correction over a month ago. We're going to go over that tomorrow in M3, and just go to moonstream.io/M3. We go into deeper detail. This is mostly the crypto mastery training, a little bit of news, touch on some coins. All right, yeah, render. Render, all of these AI coins have been really beaten up on the daily time frame. It's not looking terribly good. Let me jump over to a weekly. Also, not looking terribly good, especially with this big red bearish engulfing candle. I'd wait for the end of the week to see if it can regain some support, because often they'll sell things off to get the weak hands to sell. Here's the thing though, if you're holding render, it's always a good idea to sell half, so that you don't put your head in the sand and say, I've lost too much, I can't possibly sell here. Sell a little bit so that you can buy it back lower and raise your or lower your average cost. See, amateurs, they're like, I'm going to buy some of this, I'm going to sell it. Professionals, they'll build positions and ease out of positions. All right, what do we have there? We have some support here because it wicked down here before. Let's see what our indicators show. Kind of some sloppy, this is sort of the nuance. Render technically green, but the signal line, it's zigzaggy. It's not like a strong rebound. And the TSI did go green, but rejected. Here's a nuance. Can't always do this or rely on that, but you can draw trend lines in some of these. And I'd be careful not to draw lines in the sand, but that's kind of a weak signal there. Weekly, the only bullish-ish thing, which isn't enough, is the TSI is becoming oversold. What you can do though is you come in here and set an alert on that, add alert. There's two things. You can say when it turns green, that's when we first get our first chevron. When you first buy these, there'll be circles, I think. I changed mine to the chevron, but the alert is based on the default. So when it first turns green on a weekly, that's an early signal. So here I'll say green TSI weekly render. And that's kind of pay attention. But really the confirmation is above 20. And if you have one at or above 20, usually that'll cycle all the way up. So here you would go and say add alert on TSI Pro crossing up to above 20, right? And then that would be this alert. So that's how I would do render. But you'd want to see an ERI precede that. Okay, so what you would need here is a nice candle up. Now it's based on velocity, and I can't tell you the details, but when these trigger, it signifies programmatic buying and selling. The big boys are buying, I believe, because it requires, for this to print, it requires a move. Here's the actual indicator, but you don't want to look at that, do you? Right? But what it shows is coming off of a low point back above 20 within 3 time periods requires enough velocity, speed, and money that I believe that's programmatic buying, okay, in heavy. Retail's not moving it that much. So that's the deal. But we don't really keep that one hidden. So that's render. Anything else? Let's see. Hector saying, do the green block also indicates the market maker? No, not necessarily the market maker. I mean, the market maker can buy and sell from itself, so they might be a party to that. But this can be anybody. This is buyers in mass, and money flow. So, if we were to put a money flow indicator on it, it's peaking at a point that could, this again isn't likely going to be retail. It's going to be institutions. Maybe it's the IBIT, not on render, of course, but, institutional money, hedge funds, whatever, more than average. And these are good because typically the midpoint on these holds. So with that in mind, render I think is pretty safe if it comes down to 280. That's your downside. But without seeing buy blocks here, I might have that turned off. Okay, but we only have sellers. We don't have any buyers on render. Ugh. Yeah, I think render is a good project for AI. It's just here's the bottom line is none of these, they're all pure speculation. They don't have revenues, they don't have customers, and I hear customers are good for business. Keep that in mind. These are all pure speculation, and they're all going to bleed out 90% in the bear. We're not there yet. We're still early internet. So on this bearish engulfing candle on render, I would probably sell half here. This is likely to come back down to $2.84 as a habit. If you can sell some on a weakness, now this could recover end of day, but I don't think so. I would sell half here, not financial advice to you individually by educational purposes only. I can give buy sell recommendations as one to many, not one to one. So based on this chart, I would say this is broken support. I would sell a portion of this trade and look to buy back lower at support and or when one of these other signals goes green. That's how you trade these markets, you guys. Minimize your losses and don't stand around with your head in the sand. Um, and by all means, when we come up in these red boxes, sell it. I'll sell 80% of it, sell two-thirds, sell half, at least sell half, and buy back lower. Market cycles are normal and nothing goes straight up. And we made that mistake, like coming into end of 2025, a huge nice run up, but then everything sold off. We should have been selling in these sell blocks. If my leg would extend around to my arse, I would kick myself in it for not selling out. I was out of the office with bad internet, and I'm like, oh, it's probably fine in December. And nope. But that's how we learn. What do they say? Good judgment is based on experience, and experience is based on bad judgment. Right? Remember that. Okay, joined M3 late last week. Yeah, I recognize your name. So when coins started pumping this weekend, your warning saved me from jumping. Good to hear. Good to hear. Yeah. So that, look, a lot of this, yeah, I love what I do. And a lot of it is tough love. And if I'm talking sort of repeating and it's never meant to be condescending. It's like, listen, this is what's going to happen or what I think will happen. So glad to hear that. Thanks for sharing. So let's see. Welcome to M3, by the way. And so Hector, Brett can't get any easier when it's buy sell blocks. Yeah, simply buy when it's green, sell when it's red. I agree with you, Hector. In the last cycle, we didn't have those, and we were drawing all kinds of trend lines and things. And the other thing that I didn't really talk about today were the parallel trend channels. We'd use that a lot in M3. But okay, we covered that. But we've simplified it, I think, as much as possible. And by the way, you guys, just a quick little look ahead. If you haven't yet heard about Moonstream Academy, I'm not ready to let the cat out of the bag, but this is going to be a new community that you can join, and it's kind of a $97 a month program, and essentially there's a free trial on it. So I guess if you guys want to learn about it, it's kind of more in line with the price points that we haven't covered yet. Some people are not kind of ready for a higher investment. So we'll be in a community there. There'll be some lessons. I guess I've let the cat out of the bag. Those of you in M3 know because I already invited you. You guys are in for free. What am I doing here? There's another window that I wanted to show because it would be, I guess this one, right? So the classroom, yeah. So there's going to be all these lessons, and they'll be part of the paid course. And some of it will be free, and for you guys that are in as free members. But I'll be doing video lessons, full video. A lot of what I teach here, things like finding and entering trades, getting started, monitoring your portfolio, active trading, risk management, secondary technical analysis, trading psychology, a big one. I have a finance degree, um, and my joke is for sale, barely used finance degree. I've used none of that. I started college as a psychology major because I thought it was interesting and thought I'd figured myself out. And 2 years in, realized I don't think I want to listen to other people's problems my whole life. Hey, great that there are people do that, but I didn't want to do that. Not realizing the psychology side has helped me way more in understanding trading and marketing and things like that. But so these are the things that'll be in the course, and they're not done yet. So, but I'll be building those. So here's the thing. Am I here to try to sell you all kinds of stuff? That's not the point. The point is to give you resources at every price point to help you get to that next level. And if we do a good job with those, maybe you'll come and join us in M3 or some private mentoring, things like that. That's the motivation. Cool. All right. Anything else, you guys? I lost the chat bot. Where is that thing? And there's lots of different buttons on this machine here. Here it is. I think we're about done. Thanks for the kudos. Yeah, Scott, good job. Scott, I'd rather be lucky than good. There you go. But you can't be lucky all the time. You can be good and better than good all the time. It just takes time to learn. And Sui, Phantom Sonic, Ray, I said, don't wait till the last minute to ask because we're out of time. I'm sorry. Well, we can do it in M3 if you're. I think you're in M3. Remind me tomorrow. I gotta go because I got some of the things to do, and these recordings get too long. So thanks everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and don't forget, get the indicators, join M3. It's a great community. At least go read about it, and at the very least, go to moonstream.io and check out this cool video menu that I did, because that was took a lot of work, and it's kind of fun. It's like a video game. Cheers, everybody. I'll see you guys next month. We're gonna do this once a month because when I was doing them every week, nobody was showing up. So we'll do the first Tuesday of every month for Crypto Mastery. And so at any rate, we'll talk to you guys soon. All right. Cheers, everyone. Bye.